where it could be death. Okay. The first one is, okay, the WNBA and WNBPA agreed on a groundbreaking CBA in 2020. Okay, so they agreed on that CBA. That was cool. Now, this was...
You might want to sit down for this one, because Stephen A. Smith just dropped a bomb that has the entire WNBA scrambling, and it flips everything we thought we knew about the future of women's basketball. We knew tensions were high. We knew locker rooms were divided. But nobody expected the Players Association to literally rip up their own contract 2 years early, thinking they held all the leverage against the league owners. Here's the kicker, the part everyone's whispering about but hasn't said out loud. Stephen A. isn't just criticizing the league's greed or timing. He's practically confirming that Caitlin Clark has already made her move. No press conference, no public letter. But make no mistake, Clark has quietly stepped out of the drama, and the fallout is about to be catastrophic for anyone who thought they could bully the league's golden goose and still cash her checks. The domino that set this off? The WNBA Players Association officially opted out of their collective bargaining agreement 2 years early. They saw packed arenas, chartered jets, and record-breaking TV ratings, and decided it was the perfect moment to demand a massive pay raise. On paper, it makes sense. The league is exploding in popularity. But here's the fatal flaw. They're asking for huge money from a business that's only been profitable for about 5 minutes. And they're doing it while antagonizing the very player who makes that money possible. They're betting that viewership will stay high even if they treat their star like an outsider. And that gamble could bankrupt the league. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark quietly made a move that spoke louder than any picket sign or angry tweet. She rejected the unrivaled league, the flashy new 3-on-3 league founded by Breanna Stewart and Nafi Sakir, the same veterans who have been cold-shouldering her all season. They offered her over $1 million for a few weeks of play, equity in the league, and full red carpet treatment. Most players would have jumped. Clark said no. Stephen A. calls this a soft resignation. She turned her back on the league, the money, and the drama. She chose golf, rest, and peace of mind over giving anyone the clout of her name. It's a silent power move that screams, "I don't need you, but you definitely need me." Smith didn't hold back. He calls this the ultimate fumble. The union and veterans are demanding equity and revenue sharing, which sounds fair, but you cannot demand a slice of the Caitlin Clark pie while simultaneously headhunting her on the court and downplaying her media impact. Hard fouls, side eyes, Olympic snubs, and constant shading. Clark has endured it all, yet she's still the league's driving force. Stephen A. says the jealousy is blinding them to reality. The union is trying to squeeze golden eggs from the golden goose while cooking it for dinner. You can't have it both ways. By opting out of the CBA now, they're betting Clark will stick around indefinitely, fueling their paychecks while being treated like an outsider. And the numbers don't lie. Even if feelings in the locker room are messy, the average WNBA player needs this CBA raise to survive comfortably, without going overseas to play in grueling, sometimes dangerous conditions. Meanwhile, Clark is essentially untouchable financially, thanks to her Nike deal, endorsements, and other contracts. Caitlin Clark doesn't need the WNBA to survive. With her massive Nike deal rumored near $30 million and huge endorsements from Gatorade, State Farm, Wilson, and others, her WNBA salary is essentially pocket change, less than 1% of her annual income. Stephen A. Smith didn't mince words. Clark is the only player in the league who could walk away tomorrow and still be rich for life. Meanwhile, the union is crashing out and making demands as if they hold leverage over the entire ecosystem. But the truth? The only leverage in the league belongs to the rookie they've been targeting all season. If the league locks out, the players don't get paid. But Clark? She'll still be cashing checks from Nike while practicing her putting stroke. And it's not just the players getting exposed. The league leadership is under fire too. Smith called their management the worst in the world for how they've handled this transition. Why? Because they allowed a toxic environment to fester around their biggest asset. In any other business, if you have a rainmaker bringing in 80% of the revenue, you protect them, keep them happy, safe, and supported. The WNBA? They let jealousy run wild, refused to intervene, and now face a labor war while their star distances herself from the league's inner circle. It's a management disaster. If the league shuts down due to a lockout or strike, the executives will be the ones explaining to the NBA board why they fumbled a billion-dollar opportunity because they were too afraid to tell the veterans to back off. Smith's warning is stark. We are approaching a breaking point where silence becomes resignation. If the union strikes, Clark won't be the one begging for a deal. She'll go into broadcasting, play overseas exhibitions for millions, or build her brand independently. The WNBA risks losing her for good if the toxicity continues. The union thought they were driving a tank by opting out early, but they forgot the car in the lead. Caitlin Clark has an eject button, and she just pressed it by saying no to Unrivaled. To understand the magnitude of this crash out, you have to look at the timeline of disrespect. It didn't start last week. It started before Clark even played a professional minute. Remember the comments from legends like Diana Taurasi and Cheryl? Warnings that she wouldn't dominate? That set the tone. Every veteran felt deputized to humble the rookie, and they tried. They blitzed her, fouled her, face-guarded her for 94 feet. And yet she broke the assist record, the rookie scoring record, and dragged a lottery team to the playoffs. Instead of celebrating that, the union and veterans doubled down on the "we all built this" narrative. True, the league stands on the shoulders of giants, but you don't ignore the person who finally turned the lights on for the world. Now, the union is trying to capitalize on the attention Clark brought while refusing to acknowledge that she is the reason it exists. It's a level of cognitive dissonance that's baffling to business experts and fans alike. Then there's Unrivaled, the new 3-on-3 league that was supposed to be a bridge for WNBA players to stay in the US during the offseason and make real money. Clark was the key to their television deal. Rumor has it, networks were waiting to see if she signed before offering massive broadcast packages. By saying no, Clark didn't just save herself energy. She likely cost her rivals millions in potential revenue. A silent, passive-aggressive strike straight to the wallet. Stephen A. suggests this wasn't accidental. Clark knows her value, and by withholding her participation, she's proving exactly how essential she is. If Unrivaled struggles to attract viewers without her, it confirms what Smith has been saying all along. The public comes for Caitlin Clark, not just women's basketball in general. The union claims the crash out is about negotiating a new model reflecting the league's transformation: higher salaries, better pensions, improved travel standards. Noble goals. But the timing? It screams leverage while hype is at its peak. Ironically, Smith notes that by creating instability and threatening a work stoppage, they risk killing that momentum entirely. Fans who tuned in for Clark might switch channels permanently if the league goes dark. The union is playing with fire inside a house made of paper. Smith also pointed out the racial and media dynamics fueling the fire. Coverage of Clark versus stars like Aya Wilson shows race plays a role, but business is business. You market what sells. Larry Bird and Magic Johnson saved the NBA. Fairness wasn't the priority. Keeping the lights on was. The WNBA is in its Magic Bird era, but some players act like it's a socialist collective where everyone deserves equal shine, regardless of who is selling tickets. Participation trophy mentality is driving the wedge. Clark sells out arenas on the road. The Fever had higher attendance than the back-to-back champions, the Las Vegas Aces. Ignoring that reality to push for equal outcomes alienates the business partners funding their raises. By the end of the season, Clark looked exhausted, not just physically, but emotionally. The scrutiny, the lip-reading of her teammates, the constant analysis, it takes a toll. Smith calls her step back a preservation tactic. She sees the crash out coming. She sees the union sharpening their knives for a labor battle, and she's choosing to remove herself from the blast zone, staying in Iowa, playing golf, and spending time with family. She's detoxing from the WNBA's toxicity. This is dangerous for the league. If Clark realizes she's happier without the WNBA, the threat of her leaving permanently becomes very real. History has examples: Barry Sanders, Calvin Johnson, Andrew Luck. Money alone won't keep someone if the environment is toxic, and Clark already has the money.